Wanda Cook Robinson, Superintendent.
Debbie Trump, Associate Superintendent for Administrative Services.
David Turner, Associate Superintendent for Human Resources and Labor Relations.
Linda Wood, Associate Superintendent for Instruction.
Okay, and on sound tonight we have Mr. Mike. In the back on video we have Chuck Cassis, and keeping record of our proceedings tonight is Mr. Cole Christian. All right, let's get right to the agenda. Mr. Jason Brolis from the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union is here tonight to present classroom grant certificates to two outstanding Southfield Public School teachers. Mr. Hank Lewandowski from Southfield Lathrop was awarded a grant for $635.99, and Ms. Lisa Winston from Vandenberg World Cultures Academy was awarded a grant for $750. I'd like to have Mr. Brolis, Mr. Lewandowski, and Ms. Winston, along with their principals, please come to the podium if you would.
Good evening. How is everyone tonight?
Good evening.
Yep, thank you for having me again. I was here last year, and this is an honor to be a part of these board meetings to recognize our fine teachers here in Southfield Public Schools. I just want to give you background on what it is actually got the grant money for and how it works. As an educational-based credit union, we want to lead the way and support our local schools across Oakland and Macomb County and help them, fund projects that have outside-the-box thinking, innovative ways to learn with our students. So what they went ahead and did is they submitted a couple applications online, and the applications were then voted by peers and people in the community. And through that process, we took the top winners and awarded $36,000 between Oakland and Macomb County, of which we just said $750 and about $640 here in Southfield Public Schools. What I'd like to do now is just have both teachers, Mr. Lewandowski first come up and explain about their program and their project and what they funded.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Michigan Schools and Credit Union for supporting public education and educators in general. My grant was written up for my autism classroom. It was for an iPad and applications that help support my students in the classroom and help provide support for our ancillary staff. And again, I'd like to thank the Michigan Schools and Credit Union for their continued support of public education. Thank you.
And then we have a two-time winner here, back-to-back years, so like the University of Alabama all over again here. We have Ms. Winston here, if she wants to come up and explain out here.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I first wanted to thank the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union for providing us with this wonderful opportunity again to incorporate digital technology in our kindergarten classroom. My students are really excited. We're going to be using the grant to purchase a MacBook computer so that we can provide a lot of technology use in the classroom with small group instruction, digital storytelling, and many other things. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Again, congratulations to both teachers. Again, this is something that we strive to do, and as a school and government-based credit union, this is how we give back to the community and back to the students, back to the future. So thank you for having me again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brolis.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Ms. Kathleen Hayes-Parvin, teacher at Bernie K-8 School, who has developed a special partnership with the University of Michigan and Southfield Public School students. She is here to share details about this special program. Ms. Hayes-Parvin. Okay, we'll come back. Principal Sharon Lewis from Brace Letterly K-8 is here to share news of... Okay. She's here to share news about a Fuel Up to Play grant award. The school recently received $20,000 $2,500. Lisa, please.
Good evening to the board and everyone else that's here today. Really happy. This is part of our Building Healthy Communities grant or program that we've had from last year that's being enacted this year. In addition to the grant that we received, we also received a $2,500 grant for the Fuel Up 60 program, and I'm going to have some of our students explain that to you because they are really involved in it.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I was going to tell you about Fuel 60. This is my T-shirt. We have after-school programs, and sometimes we run, and sometimes we don't. Hi, my name is Kayla Echols, and we have after-school walking programs to help us fit and be in shape, and we made a Building Healthy Communities video.
They've done quite a bit with this program. We have after-school programs. That's a walking program to help with the healthy living. The students have special snacks that they have every day. In school, they have classes where we bring in a dietitian who is here. They give you some information. But it's a full program that the students are involved in, and it's really making a difference in their health. So they're excited about it. We have actual leaders that are part of the program. Ms. Cavan, our fourth grade teacher, will give you a little bit of information about what she does with the program as well. Ms. Cavan?
Good evening. Both of these young ladies are in my homeroom, and they're on the leadership team. Very proud of them. We have about 15 leaders in the fourth grade that spearheaded getting their peers together to walk every Wednesday. And when I say walk or jog, they let us know they're in there. They're walking all through Brace Letterly, and they're having a very good time. Through Building Healthy Communities, my homeroom has been selected as the media room, and Blue Cross Blue Shield has come into our room with about 7 different individuals monitoring us, taking videos, taking pictures, asking the children specifically away from me to see what they're learning. And we made healthy pudding snacks, and I taught the kids how to use different ingredients as opposed to all the sugar and the fat, and they really welcomed that. They also gave us a series of books, Health Through Literacy, and as the reading teacher at Brace for the fourth grade, I've incorporated that once a week, informational text, and just various books. For example, we had a biography this week about Wilma Rudolph, and we had one of our guests from Oakland University come for celebrity reading, and she read that to our children. So it is a part of our climate. The fourth graders are representing us. They've been selected to have little monitors on. They have surveys that they take. They're watching how this grant is directly affecting their health and their choices, and to carry it on with their families. So I'm very proud of it. I hope that we continue it. It's doing a lot of wonderful things.
Just wanted to say we are not eligible next year for the grant, but we have put information out. I know Ms. Robinson has some of the information to our other schools that they could possibly get this grant the way that we have, and it's truly been an extension of our phys ed programs to the point that the whole school gets engaged. We actually did a big walk around the whole building a certain number of times to get those miles in that we needed to. So it's really making a difference with the students, and I might even lose some weight myself. Thank you very much.
Next we have Ms. Joyce Salazzi, who is an avid supporter of Southfield Public Schools. As a member of the Partnership Council, she acquires many resources for the district through her relationships with local businesses, organizations, and SPS alumni. She was recently honored by the Engineering Society of Detroit. Ms. Salazzi, if you could please come to the podium.
Thank you. It is my pleasure when I get to do important work on behalf of Southfield Public Schools. And someone nominated me. I have no idea who it was, but it's always fun. What this award really does is bring a spotlight to the newly created STEM Advisory, which is an advisory off of the Partnerships Council, which has about 25 members from the business community around
technology, engineering, and mathematics. In fact, we had a meeting this evening at 5 o'clock, and that was our, I think we've met 6 times so far this school year with 1 meeting to go. And people are committed from this group to helping Southfield Public Schools by talking to their principals and finding out what do you need, how can we help. Our 3 NSBE junior chapters happened this year. 1 was kind of reinvigorated, 2 were added. Support for Future Cities came out of this group. We've done tours and career days and fundraising, and it has just been so much fun. I thank you for letting me do work for Southfield Public Schools.
And we thank you for everything you do. Okay, our superintendent, Dr. Wanda Cook Robinson, has been selected as one of 4 finalists considered as 2013 National Superintendent of the Year by the American Association of School Administrators. She was also recently awarded the Nancy Whitman Award by the PTA Area Council for her outstanding work in the community and in our schools. Dr. Wanda Cook Robinson.
Thank you. Just show this award that I received from the parents, very meaningful to me because this comes from the people that we serve. But I have 2 other awards here, and I accepted them, but I wanted the community to know that I got the awards, but I had a lot of help. First and foremost, this board. I don't know if the community knows how hard this board works to support and govern this district. They come every Tuesday, and they do not get paid. They get a rubber chicken dinner sometimes. But most of the times we give them a sandwich and some soup, and they have to keep working. And without them, none of this would have been possible. They are truly the dream team, as I've shared with people around the state. In addition, I have a courageous administrative staff and teachers who have just a depth of knowledge. And most importantly, parents, you have the confidence in Southfield Public Schools to send your students to us. So I bring these awards because I want to share it with my board, with my administrators, and with my teachers. They make me look good every single day. Thank you.
And the National Association meeting takes place when?
Next week in Los Angeles. And the other 4 finalists are from North Carolina, Oregon, and Missouri. So the 4 of us will be on stage. I think they think it's Oscars. We don't know who will have won, and we all will be on stage, and then they'll tell us as we're standing there, probably with the camera centered in like this.
Well,
exciting.
Just the fact, I'll say it again, the fact that you are in the Final 4, we're already a winner because you're a winner. So we appreciate everything that you do for us in leading this district. So thank you, Dr. Cook Robinson.
Thank you.
Now move to the report of our student representatives, and first up we have Kiara Terrence from Southfield High School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On Tuesday, February 5th, Southfield High School's student-run restaurant, also known as the Blue Jay Cafe, reopened to the public, which is the staff, and are open every Tuesday and Thursday. On Wednesday, February the 6th, which was National Signing Day, we had 6 young men and 1 young lady commit to schools. Jeff Madison, Trey Walton, and Brandon Bean all committed to Grand Valley State University. Colin Buchanan committed to Miami University in Ohio. Gerald Gates signed with Seton Hill. Darius Danzy signed with Northern Michigan University. And our 1 young lady, Lauren Hughes, she signed with Wayne State University for their tennis team. On Thursday, February 7th, our varsity wrestling team won the district championship. In the individual portion of the tournament, the team had 2 wrestlers place second, 2 wrestlers place third, and 3 place fourth. The Southfield High School senior class has already accumulated $1.5 million in scholarships, and we have already accumulated 140 college acceptance letters, which may not sound like a lot now with such a large class, but it is only February.
Right.
And senior Iman Johnson currently holds the record for the most college acceptance letters so far. Today, the National Honor Society held their annual induction ceremony where 14 new members were inducted, and Ms. Yolanda Smith and Ms. Fern Katz graced us with their presence. And the boys varsity basketball team won against Pontiac Northern High School on February the 1st. They also won against Southfield High School on the 7th, and tonight they play Troy High School. I'm not sure if they won or not, but if they did, that would make it their fifth consecutive win. And I just wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Next we have Mr. Blair Moore from Southfield High School.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Reflecting on January, we celebrated Dr. King's peaceful dream with the Martin Luther King annual walk on the 21st. Further down the road, on the 23rd, the Medical Academy took a trip down to Wayne State University to explore their medical equipment and get hands-on experience with their technology. Another exciting group taking trips is DECA, as they explore the auto show this year on the 24th, viewing all the cool upcoming models of the cars this year. The memories of January stay with us as we move into the great month of February. Kicking off Black History Month, we celebrated civil rights leader Rosa Parks' 100th birthday on the 4th. In her honor, a giant 3-layer cake was constructed and placed on the wall where students were free to tag quotes and notes about her influence in the world and in their lives. And we also, stickers were handed out, a part of Acts of Courage. These cool stickers were given out in every classroom during their first hours, so students and staff could wear them around. On the 6th, we as Lathrop students had the opportunity to hold an open house for the 8th graders, in which we were able to give them a tour of our school and talk to them about some of the amazing opportunities Lathrop has to offer, such as our IB program and sports activities. The hearts of those who love to support charities have struck Lathrop once again, as Charity Week will be taking place all week to support the fight for cystic fibrosis, which is our state charity. And we also have a blanket drive going on, which will be donated to SOS, which is the South Oakland shelter, right there on 12 Mile. And this Thursday, please feel free to join us in making the blankets where refreshments will be served. And another charity event we have going on is a fundraiser where we have partnered with Wingstop for tomorrow, February 13th. It is an all-day event where proceedings from our revenue will go towards the charity. And I have these donation processing forms, a few with me, but most of them are on the reception desk outside if you would like to participate. In honor of Valentine's Day, Lathrop's Valiant Track Team will be hosting a dance on the 14th in SL's Gymnasium, 6th and 7th hour. The SL DECA members won the gold level for school-based enterprise competition this past week. This qualifies the DECA team for nationals in Anaheim, California. Dr. Vita Cook is the DECA sponsor. Additionally, Dr. Vita Cook received the Levy Award for Excellence in Private Enterprise Education. For the past third year, Southfield Lathrop will be singing. The Winter Sports Pep Rally, sponsored by Student Congress, will take place in the gym on March 1st. The girls' varsity basketball team, better known as the Hoop Squad, are 14-2 and will be playing their district regionals at Royal Oak High School starting in March. The ACT/MME test will take place March 5th, 6th, and 7th for all eligible juniors. The Spring Prom Fashion Show will take place in the auditorium this Thursday during 6th and 7th periods. This event is also sponsored by SL DECA. Thank you and happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Blair, I wanted to ask you, which wing stop?
Oh, I'm sorry, the one on Evergreen.
The one on Evergreen.
I'm sorry for the confusion. The wing stop on Evergreen.
Evergreen near Timber.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, and next we have Ms. Ashley Parker from University High School Academy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So this Thursday is our Red and Spirit Day, where we encourage all of our students to wear either red or pink to celebrate Valentine's Day. UHSA is also collecting blankets for the SOS Foundation until this Thursday, and we are also collecting coins for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Foundation. Our club is collecting returnable bottles so they can participate in the Inside Out project, where they anticipate to have at least 20 students participate, but we do hope for more. This month, NHS is having their Black History T-shirt sale, and that ends the last day of the month. UHSA's Got Talent is March 1st, Hollywood edition. We'd also like to we also like to wish our juniors good luck on the NME testing, which is the 5th through the 7th. Glow Bowling is March 8th. And last but certainly not least, we'd like to congratulate University High School Academy students Christina Green, who plays varsity for Southfield Lathrop girls basketball, for signing to Wayne State, and also Trey Watson, who plays varsity football for Southwood High, who signed to Grand Valley State University. Thank you.
And now we turn the meeting over to the superintendent for the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. I want to begin by asking everyone to address their attention to the art on the walls here in the building. Our art teachers do a fantastic job of decorating for each board meeting month. This month, our artists from Bracelet Early School and Rebecca Parker and Gay Oliver are here, and I'm going to ask Ms. Parker, there she is, step up to the podium and tell us a little bit about this art and what's going on at Brace.
It would be my pleasure. I'm Rebecca Parker, elementary art teacher. Unfortunately, Gay Oliver couldn't join us this evening. She's our middle school art teacher. But on her behalf, thank you very much. I'd like to very quickly recognize, I see several students here that have artwork here. So if I may, Bentley Pruitt, Krishan Phillips, Jacqueline Simmons, our multi-talented young lady, Carrington Smith, our photographer. They may not have been able to stay because it's so crowded, but this is Carrington, this is Bentley, Jacqueline, and Krishan, and they are amazing students, and I really want to thank you guys for coming. So if you can turn for a second, we got a couple of pictures. But I'd also like to thank a couple of the art teachers from the district for lending their support to and to the board and Dr. Robinson and all for the opportunity to say a few words. But I'm going to start by saying that the art instruction philosophy here in Southfield is heavily based on the cross-curricular. As in all subjects, there's so much to teach and so much to learn in the arts. And not only do we have the privilege and the joy of teaching the art, but we have the responsibility to emphasize those core curriculum. And they're so inlaid within the arts. You know, you've got your science, you've got your math, your social studies, ELA, everything is there. It's just a matter of us kind of bringing it to the surface. And I'd like to give you a couple of examples among the many things that are here. But first, the amazing Starry Night art. We did a project based on Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, and you'll look around and you'll see that none of it is the same. And that was the point. We learned about Vincent van Gogh, utilized the elements of art and the principles of design. We used higher thinking skills to extrapolate the meaning as it pertains to them, their experiences about creating the art. And then they reflected on the artist, they reflected on the artwork, the accepted critique about Van Gogh's Starry Night, and then they made it their own. And just look around. It's all different. And, you know, the whole idea was for them to take on some personal experience. What did Van Gogh think? What do I think when I look at the night sky? What do I see? You know, how does that giant structure that looks like a tree, do I think it's a tree? Definitely went way outside the box, which I love that. That's the whole point, is higher level thinking. And, you know, that's an undertaking for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. They then wrote about these experiences, and some of the writing is up in the back. Some of it, there's just so much we weren't able to put it all up. And the other end of the spectrum is the lower elementary students. They also looked at Starry Night, and they created their version of the night sky, and then we talked about skylines in Detroit in the urban environment, and they then created their own cityscape with the background of Starry Night. And a lot happens here. You've got motor skills, you know, you've got shapes, you've got geometry, you've got math, you've got all this stuff that's just part of it. And I must say, I have to drive home the point. I'd be remiss in not saying the arts are necessary. They're necessary. They teach creativity, higher level thinking, again, problem solving. Not to mention, there is a tremendous amount of data, tremendous amount that supports that more art equals higher SAT scores. The National Assembly of State Art Agencies, for students that had 4 years of art versus 1 year, verbal up by 58 points, math up by 38 points. So it's working, what we're doing, and we'd like to thank all of you for the support to do that. You know, Dr. Robinson, the school board, our peers, my principal, Mrs. Sharon Lewis, and assistant principal, Mr. Harvey Wilson. If it wasn't for all of your support, we would not be enjoying this productive and positive and amazing artistic experience. So we'd like to thank you. And thank you guys.
We'd like to thank you. I learned a long, long time ago that art is as academic as math, reading, writing, and science, and is very, very valuable in helping us cross the curriculum. So we are excited, and we are very pleased that the art teachers decorate our building, even upstairs and downstairs. Thank you for coming. This evening, I would like to give the board and the community an update on our safety measures here in the district. This August, all of the administrators participated in a 2-day training with Recon Management. Recon Management is a national security company. They came in, they did a review of all of our crisis plans. We have a crisis plan for every single building. And then they trained us on what to look for. And then after their review, they also worked with us to talk about what was missing or what we needed to add. We had valuable conversations in that training. We did role plays, and we talked about what could happen and what our responses should look like so that we were ready. In addition, our partners that work with us here in the district are also safety ready. And so this evening, we'd like to bring some of our partners to the podium to share with the board and the community on our safety measures. Our chief of police will be here. He couldn't get loose until 8 o'clock, so I might have to ask the board's indulgence to let him speak when he arrives. But I want to say that our police chief is simply the best. He was once a liaison officer at Southfield High School, so he understands the needs that the schools have in terms of safety. When we had the tragedy at Sandy Hook, that morning when I walked in and I told my assistant, get the chief on the phone, she said, he's on the phone for you. That is how closely he works with us. And he's going to come this evening and tell the board and the community what he and the police force are doing as well. But meanwhile, I'd also like to bring up Katrina, and Katrina, I always mess up your name, Peruzzi, who is our partner with Champion.
They too are partnering with us on our safety efforts. Please come to the podium and share some of the safety measures that we have updated.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Rhonda Cook-Robinson, the board, and everybody else. My name is Katrina Peruzzi, and I'm the area manager for the Southfield Champions program and the Magnolia Preschool program. And it's been an honor to be able to add additional security measures because we feel that it's very important to ensure the safety of all children and families because they are our heart and our passion as well. So we take it very seriously. But located in all of our before and after school programs, we have locked all of the doors that are the entrance of all of our before and after school care programs so no one can access where the programs are located. We have installed all wireless doorbell systems as well so that they're kept locked and we're able to go to the door when the doorbells ring. We can go access the door, and only a champion staff member is allowed to open the door to an authorized person. That would be a parent or an authorized pickup. We do not allow any access to the building of anybody who is unauthorized. At our Magnolia location, which is our preschool program, all of our doors are kept locked at all time. We have an entry doorbell buzzer system that releases the door and we can intercom to somebody who's outside the door. We also have a security camera that is located outside the parking lot so we can view and see who's there to release the door to ensure that we are releasing the door to an authorized person. And then we have a second intercom doorbell release system located in our opening and closing classroom. So if the executive director is not able to open the door, then the classroom is also able to release the door, and then they have access or view from their classroom to make sure that that person is authorized to enter the door. All programs have access to emergency cards of authorized people that are allowed to pick up and drop off their children, so they're only being able to authorize those people to enter into the system or into the doors. And then on another aspect, if an unidentified person is there or not a normal person that picks up, then a champion staff member is with that person at all times throughout the building. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you.
And I just want to add that Champions is working very closely with us, and as we talked about updating, they didn't hesitate. They said, we're going to get buzzers. Here's some things that we can do. So as suggestions are made, they are readily put into place. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to bring to the podium Dennis Gregory, who is in charge of security for the district.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Rhonda Cook-Robinson, members of the board, cabinet, staff, parents, and people from the community. Let's start out with this first slide here up here, and this is not to scare you. These are actual facts. These are horrible, horrible tragedies that happen over the years. Violence in schools or shootings in schools dates back, way back to the 1700s, actually. If you Google school shootings, you'd be amazed at how many actually happened. But these are some of the key ones. Columbine was probably one of the major ones that happened that really woke everybody up or jarred everybody's attention, and we looked at things differently after that. Virginia Tech, another one, horrible tragedy, 33 fatalities. The University in California, 7 fatalities. It doesn't just happen in school buildings. The movie theater in Colorado, 12 fatalities. And then the horrible Sandy Hook Elementary tragedy with 26 fatalities. You know, I took a real hard look at the Sandy Hook situation. I studied it, read everything I could on it, and they really did everything right. The staff was trained on lockdown procedures. They hid the students out of sight. They had all the external doors locked. This person had to actually break a window in order to get into that building. So they did everything right, okay? But even when you do everything right, sometimes there's a breach in security. Shopping mall in Oregon, once again, another situation where somebody went into a shopping mall. So it's not just school buildings. It can happen anywhere. It can happen at 7-Eleven. It can happen at the grocery store. It can happen on the highway, okay? So when we train our students and our staff, these are life skills that we're training them. This is something that we want them to take with them and utilize all the time. The horrible tragedy in Alabama where the bus driver was killed, the bus driver literally stood up and blocked the gunman from getting to the 22 students that were on the back of the bus. Okay, he by far was a hero by any means. Stood there and blocked their view, and those students had been trained in evacuation procedures on the buses like we do twice a year in every school district out there, and they were actually exiting out that rear exit door as he was blocking the gunman. I can't imagine that the 5-year-old that he took hostage for 8 days. Can you imagine your child being held hostage, no matter what their age is, for 8 days? I'd be frantic. Okay? Let's go on here. Okay? Our students' safety is our #1 priority here in Southfield. You know, Southfield Public Schools have been very proactive in getting things in place and making sure everything is safe and making sure everything works. And that's our #1 priority. Are we educators? Yes, we're educators. But first of all, they've got to be safe. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to learn. Okay? So safety is our #1 priority. A couple things that we have in place. Once again, very proactive. We installed a building access control system back in 2007. This system allowed us to keep the external doors locked, and we have a couple key entry points in which we can control exactly when that door is unlocked or not. Okay? We eliminated all the outside keys for all the buildings. So there's only 7 of us that have these specific gold keys. Nobody else has them. All right? So it's very limited access. Airphones are installed in main entrance. Airphone is a visual intercom system. When a parent or somebody comes to a main entrance of a building, there's actually a little box there, a silver box. It has a button. They push the button. That alerts somebody in the main office. They can visually see who's out there, and they can also talk with that person out there to see what it is they need, who they are, and so on. And then they can actually buzz them into the building because that door has an electronic lock assembly. All parents and visitors must report to the main office and get a visitor's pass. Okay, we just don't let people in and wander through the building. We want to know who's in our buildings. We want to know what they're for, what they're in there for, and why they're in there. So they all have to report to the main office. We have closed-circuit TV surveillance cameras recording 24/7. Okay, we have almost 600 of these throughout the district, not only inside but outside the buildings. These run constantly. We have the ability to go in and review footage on those. We can actually print some of that footage or transfer it to a disk, and we've worked with Southfield Police on a number of situations on problems in a certain area, and we're able to provide footage for them. We have remote access to cameras. If we were to have an incident in a building and we want to know what was going on there remotely via my laptop, I can pull up those cameras and we can see what's going on in that building. All right? That's a real key tool. Lockdown options. We can remotely lock down that building. Okay? Matter of getting on my laptop and pushing a couple buttons, and I can lock down a building or all the buildings. Okay? Or they can do it at the building itself. Occasionally, there's police situations in certain areas, and the police will contact a particular school or school district and say, hey, we've got a situation in the area, we need you to go in a lockdown. All right? We can do that in seconds almost. Okay? So we can secure that building totally. All the external doors are locked during class times. Okay? Once again, the doors are locked. They have to go to the main entrance, push the earphone button, and get buzzed in order to gain access. All of our buildings have burglar alarms. Okay, they're monitored all the time. And what I'm saying this for is, somebody just can't sneak in the middle of the night or break in the middle of the night and us not know it. If somebody were to breach into a building in the middle of the night, it sets off an alarm. We have motion detectors. We have glass detectors. We have, we call them traps on the doors, and anytime those are activated, we get a call. And Southfield Police have been fantastic in responding to some of these. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of problems with breaching the buildings, but when we have, like I say, Southfield Police, they've been fantastic. Building fire alarms. All of our buildings have fire alarms, so in case there is a fire, number one, we can be notified. Number two, that all the students in that building know what's going on. And we also have building layout maps to tell us what that building is laid out like. If we were to have an incident in a building, the police want to know, well, what's here? How do we get here? What's behind here? Where are the classrooms? And we can give that to them or show them that on site. We have already forwarded that information to them, so they already have it, but we also bring it to the site if we were to have an incident. All of our staff and our contractors, okay, we have, Chartwells, we have Champions, we have Guardian, we have Durham, okay, all those people, along with all the staff here at Southfield Public Schools, has had to go through an extensive federal fingerprint background check to make sure that there's not any things hidden that we wouldn't want to have around our students, or a person that has some bad background around our students. So that is all done, and this is done before that person comes to work here at Southfield Public Schools. All our staff and contractors must wear a picture ID badge, okay? We all have these little badges that we all wear. We have to wear these every day or to any school function, and that gets enforced. A couple things we have going in place right now. Currently we have 18 security guards from Guardian Guard Services. They do a fantastic job. They help us do a number of things. They're in the buildings for traffic control. They handle some student discipline issues. They do investigations. They're assisting with crowd control and special events. They have been specially trained in CPR and first aid, and they also have been specially trained in how to restrain somebody without hurting them, okay? And that's a very, very important thing. We also have 3 Southfield Police resource officers in our high schools, and they're there every day we have school in session, and they do a fantastic job. And they once again work in conjunction with the principals and the security staff, and work on items or problems that we have in those particular buildings. We have direct contact with the South Police, and direct contact, what I mean by that is, we don't just call 911 when we have a problem. We have not only the chief's personal cell phone number, but we have the lieutenant's cell phone number as well. We have a direct line. One of the things about 911 calls is it attracts the media. The media is here in a heartbeat, and sometimes that can really cause a bottleneck with trying to get people in to help us with the situation. Lathrop Village Police, we work very closely with them. Southfield Emergency Management, Frank Coots from Southfield Emergency Management, we've done a number of exercises with them. They assist us all the time, and once again, have his personal cell phone number. We have a crisis team in place. It's always ready. The crisis team is comprised of a number of administrators, principals, and key people from certain areas. Once again, Dr. Cook Robinson mentioned we have a crisis manual. That crisis manual, we have a number of them in each building, and they're readily accessible, and those are guidelines for what to do. But we've already been through them, we've updated them, and the key thing is knowing what to do when things happen. Principals, teachers, staff, those are all people that make everything safe as well. If a principal or teacher sees something that's not right, suspicious, okay, or just doesn't look right, they take the initiative to mention it to somebody so we can check it out and make sure that everybody's safe. Practice drills. We do a number of practice drills. We do 2 lockdown drills per year. A lockdown drill consists of securing the building, securing the students in a particular room, locking that door, and getting the students away from anything, any type of window or anything where somebody can look in there and see where those students are. The experts tell us that if one of these people run into a locked door, chances are they'll move on to the next door or find something that is unlocked. Okay, so that's really key. And we do a couple of these a year, and it's documented and observed, okay, so that everybody knows how to do it correctly. Once again, Sandy Hook did a fantastic job there. 2 tornado safety drills. We do those. Obviously, now they call them either tornado or weather safety drills, but these are practice as well. Excuse me. So students know where to go in case we do have foul weather. 8 fire drills. Once again, something that is mandated and we follow and document, and it's something that is very important as well. We do 2 bus evacuations drills per year. And once again, the incident, the Alabama bus driver blocking those students and saving them and them exiting out the back door, had they not gone through some of those evacuations on the buses, they wouldn't have known to do that. Okay, so it's very important. Southfield Police K-9 Unit and the SWAT teams have done tours and exercises in our buildings. Okay, they've come into our high schools, they've come into our elementaries, and they've actually done exercises and walked through and got themselves familiarized with it. So they know what's going on. Okay. All the bus drivers have been trained in dealing with threatening situations and report anything suspicious. You know, bus drivers do a lot other than drive a bus, okay? You know, they see something that's out of the ordinary. They drive down that street every day and they notice something that's just not right. They pick up on a student that may be having a bad day or is not feeling well or whatever like that. They do a lot. And if they take a student home or they're going to drop some students off and that student isn't familiar with where he's supposed to get off, or maybe there's a dog wandering in that area, if those students are afraid to get off the bus, that bus driver is going to keep those students on the bus until we can either get a hold of somebody to take care of the dog, or sometimes bring them back to the school, or sometimes have a parent come out to the bus. So, you know, bus drivers do a lot behind the scenes as well. Two-way radios are used in all buildings for instant communication. We have well over 100 two-way radios that we have instant communication on, okay? Yes, most everybody has cell phones nowadays, but on a two-way radio, you don't have to dial anything or anything like that, or look for a number. You push a button, and you've got somebody on the other line. Excuse me. Honeywell alert system. We have a Honeywell alert system. You probably all have received that in the past for one reason or another. This is a system that we can notify parents almost instantaneously based on the information that you give us. It's very important that if your information changes, your home phone number, your email, your cell number, your work number, or contact information, it's very important to let the school know so we can update that information. If we have bad information, obviously we're not going to be able to get a hold of you. So if we need to get a hold of you in case there's an incident, we can do it that way, but only if the information that you have provided for us is correct. Certain protocols and procedures that have not been presented tonight. Obviously, we have a number of things that happen behind the scenes, and we don't want to share that with everybody out there, with the public. Okay? We are constantly reviewing and adjusting our security tools, resources, and procedures. This is a work in progress. This is something that we're looking at all the time. When something happens, we do a post-review of it and make the necessary changes. Okay, who is responsible? Everybody's responsible. You're responsible, you're responsible, you're responsible, I'm responsible. I put a basic list together here. Administrators, bus drivers, cabinet, crisis teams, counselors, custodians, food service, lunch aides, neighbors, parents, police, principals, resource officers, security guards, school board, staff, and students. Everybody is responsible. And what I mean by that is if somebody sees something that's suspicious, if somebody sees something that's out of the ordinary, if somebody sees something that you know, they didn't like or whatever, they need to mention it to somebody so we can check it out. Make sure to tell your children, to tell an adult, okay, whether it be the bus driver, the principal, okay, the lunch aide, the teacher, whoever. Tell somebody so we can see what's going on and hopefully prevent something from happening. But we all have to do this, okay? We all have to do it. It's not just Southfield Public Schools. It's not just the police department. It's not just security staff. It's everybody, okay? And if we all participate in this and we all help each other and concentrate on reporting anything out of the ordinary or something that doesn't look right, it's going to make us that much more safer. Questions, comments, concerns?
Well, I did want to point out to the community that when you did we talked about the background checks of all staff, the board has also submitted 2 background checks as well. So everybody here has been cleared, and there were a couple of blemishes, but nothing that we we'll talk to you about that, Trustee Brown.
Okay, my contact information is up there. Certainly, if you have any questions or you want to report something, please call me at 248-746-8524. The email address, I'm sorry, didn't come out very well there. Or you can call the main switchboard, which is 248-746-8500. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we're hoping that the chief will arrive soon. But meanwhile, we're going to move to my next report, which is an update on our public relations and communications. Ms. Jackie Roberts.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to share with you a little bit of what we're doing with our internal communications. We have external communications and advertising that we do. I want to talk to you just for a moment about internal communications. We have updated the Southfield Public Schools website. I don't know how many of you have noticed if you've seen that update. So we've updated the website. You all like that? Yeah, okay. And it's a work in progress. But you can go there now and you can get spotlight information. If there's something special going on, as Mr. Gregory mentioned, the Sandy Hook crisis, we had information there in our spotlight section to let you know about that. But we also have our press releases on the homepage of the website. We have the message on the homepage of the website where you can find out all about the exciting things that are going on in the district. What I really love, though, my husband told me to calm down because I've been talking about it all night, but we added YouTube to our homepage, and so our first YouTube feature is Ms. Alma Dean. There she is, our superstar, and she's talking about Special Schools Night. So now we can add YouTube video to our homepage, so you'll be seeing videos from the superintendent talking about the district, videos from TV 15, which is the Southfield cable station. They have done wonderful videos on our programs. We'll be posting those, alumni videos, and much more that will be coming. Just a word on TV 16. What you see on our website, you'll be seeing mirrored on our TV station, which is viewed by 24,000 people. So now, that's the good news. Now it gets better. So we are tweeting now at Southfield K-12. So if you are following us on Twitter, then you would have known at 5 in the morning that the school district was closed on Friday. Is that not right, Board President? So instant communication. And so follow us. We're going to be doing a campaign in about 5 weeks to see how many followers we can get, and there will be a reward. So look out for that. Also in 5 weeks, we're launching Parent Link, which is a mobile app, and I think you've heard about that already. But the Parent Link will allow you to get all this information instantly, and also information on your students if you have students in the district. And I need a drum roll. Thank you. At the same time that we launch Parent Link, we are going to launch the district's Facebook. Yay! So I know it's been a while, but Facebook and the superintendent, I'm excited. Good. And so that's just an update on our internal communications, things that we're doing, using our internal channels to get the word out. So follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, and our job is to keep you informed, and that's what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank
March 6th, this is when we will have our Revolution Read program. Revolution Read, as you know, is our district-wide initiative to build a culture of reading here at Southfield Public Schools. The mayor launched this initiative at her State of the District last year, and she's been helpful in bringing on business partners and others to participate. On March 6th, we will have about 780 kindergartners and first graders reading simultaneously in the pavilion. Then grades 2 through 5 will be reading in the afternoon. And we're also working to get our middle school involved this year. So, please, we need celebrity readers. Now, a celebrity is you. So, all of you in the audience, all of you at home, if you're available on March 6th, please call Joyce Salaji, or you can call my office and sign up to be a celebrity reader and help us to continue to build this culture of reading here at Southfield. And I'm going to move on now to my cabinet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight, we're going to bring forward, later in the agenda as an action item, the First Amendment to our 2012-13 budget. As you know, every year we have to, by state of Michigan law, we have to put together our budget for the following fiscal year by June of the year before. And that's way before the state puts out their budget, before we have student counts, before we have any of the actual pieces that go into making your budget. So what we do is we use some actuaries, we use some trending, and we come up with our best educated guess at where we're going to be for the next school year. So at this time, once we have more information, we come back and we bring you our First Amendment, and then again at the end of the year we'll bring a Second Amendment when we have more information still. So some of the highlights of the changes that will be in the budget projections that we're bringing tonight, our property, or our revenues, actually are going to be up $5.9 million. The largest part of that, which is a great thing for Southfield Public Schools, is that our student count came in 282 students higher than what we had projected. Now, you know, if you've been following for the last few years, we've been losing quite a few students every year. And that's the natural birth rate, people leaving Michigan. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's happening statewide. But our projections have been pretty much right on for every year. So we went with the normal projections. We projected a loss of close to 600 students, and we didn't lose nearly that many. So that 282 students equates to $2.6 million more in revenue for us. The other large one was we have state aid prior year adjustments, and this goes back to the state tax appeals. Everyone's going in because property values are down. They appeal their taxes locally. If it doesn't get passed there, they can appeal it to the state. The state has a huge backlog of these, and as they're moving through, we get hit. What happens is if they get their appeal approved, it goes to Oakland County. Oakland County sends us a bill. We have to pay it within 30 days. Then, because Proposal A didn't put in any kind of mechanism for how that information would then flow to the state so that our state aid could catch up with it, we constantly have a flux of money going out, money coming back in, but we don't have any way to time that. So we actually received $2.1 million of tax, well, it was state aid, but it was because of prior year tax appeals. But we got this, the appeals that happened the year before, we got that in this year's money, so that was another $2 million in revenue. Another thing that happened with property taxes is we have TIFAs, which are tax increment finance authorities in the city, and there's also land development, things like that. It's where they capture tax money to bring in corporations and companies into the city so they get some tax rebates. But what that does is it actually captures our money that we get for the schools. So there was a mistake, a couple of large mistakes, where they mixed us up with another community, and they captured the money from us. But this is good news because they gave the money back to us and took it back from the other district that I will not name because I'm just happy that we got the money. So those were the large things. Some other things that happened that weren't as large, but they're still important, is the best practices. Now, when the governor came back and took the $470 per pupil away from the schools and gave it to higher ed, he then put in some one-time categoricals. Those categoricals, you can't count on them year to year, and every year this best practices one, he's changed the criteria, so we have to jump through slightly different hoops to get this best practices money. The first year it was $100 per pupil. This year it was $52. We, again, met the criteria, so we are going to get that. It amounts to a little under $400,000. Next year, that's going to be cut down to $16 per pupil. So he still said it's out there in his budget, it sounds great, but it's going to be peanuts next year. Medicaid fee-for-service. Billing for Medicaid is very, very complicated, and we had decided to put a staff member in place to actually focus on the Medicaid billing. And by doing that, we have increased the revenue that we bring in through that. So we brought in an extra $200,000 last year, but I didn't know that at the end of the year, so we were able to increase our revenue projection for this year based on what we got last year. Another thing, Maisel is our workman's comp provider, and because we're in a pool, when the pool does very well with all the districts, they actually give back refunds. So every few years, we never know when it's coming, but this year we got back $393,000 from that. It's another one-time piece. And then Blue Cross has been paying us a stipend in lieu of taxes for the last, I think it's been 15, 20 years or so. And we thought that that was done because they are closing up. And so we did not project that money for this year, but we found out that until they actually sell the building and move out, they have to keep paying us, so we got another $176,000 this year. So those are all very good things that happened. So our revenue is up about $5.9 million from what we had projected originally. The other piece of that is the expenditures. Salaries were down $1 million from projections, and the largest part of that had to do with people that we charged to grants. And if you know anything that's going on with the federal government, you know, some of those grants are in jeopardy, but this year we still have the grants. We were able to charge some of our staff salaries to them, and that saves the general fund money. And the other thing was, at the end of last year, we didn't have the two of our bargaining groups, ESOP and MESPA, we didn't have all the concessions in place because we hadn't finalized their contracts. So those, you know, how everyone had a 6% target that we were hitting, so those came through for those two groups also, so that added into the $1 million. Actually the largest piece of cuts in the expenditures was the retirement rate. Originally, they had told us we were going to be paying 27.37% on everyone's wages for retirement this year, which is huge, and then it was supposed to go up to 30% the year after. Now they started taking 3% away from all of the employees in the state, and they're putting that away because there's a lawsuit saying that they couldn't actually do that. The reason they were doing it is that they want to use that to pay down the unfunded liability for our health care costs for retirement. So, but that's still kind of being held aside, and now we have all these new things that we actually made a contribution, or we made a selection as of October. So it's legal going forward. They still don't know what they're doing with the stuff that happened before. So our rate right now is supposedly 24%. I still budgeted 25 because we don't know what's happening yet. They have not solved that problem. So to be safe, we left it at 25 to give us a little bit of leeway just in case it doesn't go through the way that we are hoping that it does. So, but that saved us $2.2 million. Another large thing, we were able to cut some of our electricity, heating fuel, fleet fuel, things like that, because after having such a good year last year where we haven't got any snow, we bumped it back up this year thinking we were going to have a normal winter, and so far again this year we've had a pretty mild winter. So hopefully it'll hold true for the rest of the year, and we were able to cut a little bit out there. But what that allowed us to do is you remember to make our budget balance, because we are in pretty bad straits, the tax appeal money that we were talking about earlier, we usually budget $5 million a year for that, and we've been hitting pretty close to that every year. These are those tax tribunals that happen at the state level, and then they flow down to us. We had to take $2 million out and only budget $3 million to get a balanced budget, because the state requires you to provide a balanced budget by June for the next year. So not knowing what the revenue was going to look like, we had to cut that line down to $3 million to get us a balanced budget. We want to bump that back up to $5 million so that it will cover what we think is probably going to happen again this year. The other thing that is good news that we were able to do is put some money back into our IT capital expenses and our facilities capital investments. We've had to cut that. So we took a lot of money out of that, because to get us over this fiscal cliff that's been happening to everyone, we've done a really good job, and we've stayed at a deficit, but that was at the expense of some of those things that we should have been doing all along to keep things going. So we're going to be able to put some money back into like our wireless network, because all of the technology now is moving to computers. So we really need to put some money into our wireless network. And then we have some roofs where we have some problems. We do have a facilities assessment, so we're not just picking and choosing. We have had a company come in and look at it and tell us these are your priorities. And these are the things that will cost you more money in the long run if you don't only changed about $255,000. So what that'll do is that going into next year, or at the end of this year, we will only use $7 million of our fund balance, where we had thought before that we were going to spend about $12 million of it. So that will help us into the next year, because still going forward, the revenues are still coming down. So we're still not at that place where we can just hold tight and go steady and things will be okay. We still have to look at new ways to come up with some more cuts to keep us in a balanced budget. But we're in a better place than we have been in the past. So we're starting to get this to come together a little bit. So, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, which is how outstanding a job you continuously do. I can sleep at night knowing that Deborah Tripp is on the job. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you very much. But Angela's here from my staff. I wish some other people were here. They do an awesome job, too. Okay. Well, thank you. That's my report.
And the chief has arrived. So we're going to ask him to go to the podium. And previously, we've talked about the safety things that we're doing here in the district, and so on. And I just wanted them to hear from you. I know you and I have had a number of phone conversations, and I shared with the community and the board the day after Sandy Hook. You called me before I could call you with suggestions on what we could do. So, Chief Hawkins.
And thank you, Superintendent, and good evening to the community and to the board members and the administrators from the Southfield School District. And first of all, I'm honored to be here. It's always a pleasure to address the school board and to address members of the community. I want to first say that I am so proud as a resident of Southfield of what the school board, the superintendent, and the administrators in the school district have done. I mean, I'm just in awe of the work that you guys do. And we in the police department appreciate you. You're an inspiration to us. So we thank you for what you do. And so the superintendent asked me to come and speak shortly. First of all, I understand that the President's State of the Union is tonight, and the Michigan State game is tonight. So I'm going to be brief. I won't keep you long. I'm going to give you 5 or 10 minutes. I want to first of all cover what's happening overall in your police department, and then second, I want to talk about what we're doing specifically in the schools. And with the police department in general, I listened to the associate superintendent talk about finances, and we are dealing with much of the same issues that the school district is dealing with as well. It's something that police departments and school districts across the country are dealing with, and that's declining revenues, it's shrinking budgets, it's reduced resources. But people in the community don't want to hear the police chief say that we can't do what we used to do for you, or we can't give you more simply because we have fewer resources and shrinking budgets. We're not here to give excuses. We are here to try to figure out what these challenges are and give you solutions. And so that's what I've been dealing with for my first 4 or 5 months as police chief. It was deciding what programs we wanted to keep, how can we keep them, and what are the needs of the community. So that's the general overview, but just a little bit for your information about what's happening with crime in this community. Because of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of that, when an incident occurs, it generates so much publicity that there's this perception that crime is rising across America, that crime is rising in Michigan, that crime is rising in the city of Southfield. That is not true. For the last 5 years in the city of Southfield, violent crime has dropped 64%. Over the last 3 years, we've seen a drop in crime, violent crime, of 18%. So we're seeing a steady downtrend in criminal activity, and it's across the board in all crime categories. So that's the good news. Okay. But when looking at these, we in the police department cannot get complacent. And one thing that I'm preaching constantly to my staff is that we cannot. Because once you get complacent, then you start to see issues and you start to see changes. So here's what we've done, broad overview in your police department. We've maintained a commitment to community policing. in police departments across the country who are all experiencing these reduced budgets and all of these challenges, and I interact with these executives from across the country, regularly. And what I'm constantly hearing is that they're going back to core services. Okay, all they want to do, because they don't have the staffing for community policing officers, school officers, tactical units, traffic. So what they do, they revert back to only covering their core services, and that's responding to crime. You call, we come. That's fine, but we want to do more than that in Southfield. There's a higher standard here. So what we have done is maintain these community policing programs, including school officers. You got, and again, the community policing in a lot of these other programs, because that is what helps us prevent crime. You can put a police officer on every corner, and if you don't have the appropriate crime prevention strategies and techniques, you're going to still have problems. So we're keeping that focus on crime prevention and community policing. And we have, but we also make sure that we keep our hard charging units, because this violent crime thing it's a fairly serious issue. So if it occurs, and when it occurs, I have to make sure that I have officers that are equipped to take care of that. So we're also maintaining the hard charging units as well. But here's some things that we've done in the schools, because it's very important that we maintain this relationship with the schools. We've had a relationship for over 30, almost 40 years in the schools, and so we want to maintain that. And one of the things that we've done is started a youth police academy. And that's an academy that's targeting youth between the ages of 13 and 17 years old, and it's about leadership, mentoring, and giving them some strategies, conflict resolution strategies and things like that. And if they are interested in law enforcement, we can kind of lead them in that direction. But it's not necessarily to lead these children into law enforcement, but that's a piece of it. We have Explorers, Police Explorers program, that we've had for years and years, that we're going to continue to have that as well. And of course, our school liaison officers. We've increased our commitment to the schools by adding a third school liaison officer full-time to the schools, and that's something that we've always had and we always will. And we also have a number of initiatives that we've just started that address youth behaviors and ways of keeping our children in this community safe. We have the Safe Streets Pledge that we just started a couple weeks ago, and that's teaching our youth and adults in the community about the dangers of distracted driving and not being courteous when you're driving and speeding and all those things. So that's an initiative that we have. We also have started assigning officers every day to visit our middle and elementary schools. We have officers in the high schools already, but every single day at our briefings, at our day shift briefings, we assign officers to visit elementary schools in the city. And they may walk in and just say, hi, how's everything going, and maybe have a cup of coffee, or they may stay and listen to some concerns and resolve some issues. But every single day we're making contact. Training in the schools. This idea of violence in the schools, and we're proactively addressing that. We're having our tactical units trained in the schools. We're having our officers in some of our other auxiliary units who are connecting with principals and other security staff in the schools as well, so that we have a unified effort and direction when things occur in the schools. And the latest initiative that we have is something that we call the Teen Girl Safety Seminar. And for the last 4 months or so, when I come to forums like this, or I get calls, and I started getting calls from parents of teenage girls, and they were concerned, and the girls were concerned about safety type things, You know, and the parents would ask me things like, you know, is it okay for my daughter to carry a taser? Is it okay for my daughter to carry mace? You know, what should she do if this happens? And it's the first couple of times I've heard it, you know, I gave the appropriate responses and direction. But then when I heard it over a dozen times, I started to think, okay, something is there. Okay, but I knew from looking at our statistics that we had not seen any increase in female victimization, teenage victimization in Southfield. So I'm wondering, where's, you know, are our girls trying to tell us something? Is there something? So when you look at national statistics, 15 years ago, teenage boys were twice as likely to be victims of violent crimes than teenage girls. Now, fast forward 15 years later, and the violent crime rate amongst teenagers has declined steadily, you know, to the tune of something like 70% overall. But there was something with the rate of change in teenage girls, so that now, 15 years later, teenage girls are just as likely to be victims of violent crime as teenage boys. So our young ladies were telling us something, and they are telling us something. Because a lot of times they see these things before they hit the radar screen in statistics, or before they become, you know, part of a study or something like that. They can tell us that. So in response to that, we initiated this safety seminar that we will be holding later on this month and into next month. And it's not so much self-defense type things, but it's more self-awareness. More, you know, when you have a teenage daughter that happens to, you know, she has to go to the neighborhood pharmacy to grab some toothpaste at 6 o'clock in the evening. You know, what should she be looking for when she leaves and comes back to her car? What kind of things should she be aware of? What happens when you're on your way to school and you get into an accident and things like that? What should you be aware of? So we want to give some self-awareness strategies to our young ladies in this community. And there will also be some minor self-defense strategies as well. So that's just, in a nutshell, some of the things that we're doing. But this, you know, I just brought these things out. These are just a few of the things, because it kind of it shows that we are thinking proactively in the police department. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to look for trends in criminal behavior and quality of life type issues, so that we can address those things before they become police incidents. And I look forward to working with you all over the years. You know, I have a open door policy. If you have compliments, complaints, or anything like that, I can take them off. But I tell you this, you know, I'm just as proud as I am of the school board here. I'm just as proud of my officers. About 6 or 7 years ago, every citizen complaint has come across my desk for the last 6 or 7 years. I can tell you, about 7 years ago, it was about 50-50 in terms of complaints to compliments. I can tell you now, compliments far outweigh the complaints in the police department. So you all should be very, very proud of your officers as well. They're doing what they have to do. It's a tough job. Just as educating is a tough job. It's tough going out there every day and protecting and serving. So I'm proud of them. And again, I thank you all for having me here this evening. And it's been a pleasure. And if you ever need anything, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
Yes, that's one thing we're working on also. We have we've actually beefed up our computer crimes unit, and social network type issue that's starting to emerge now. And so yes, that's next on the radar. Also, I talked about teenage girls, but we also have on the radar some things for teenage boys as well. But yes, that's something that's coming. You're welcome.
Thank you. Continuing with our reports, Mr. Turner.
Good evening. I don't have an official report today. I just wanted to bring some information to the board from the Office of Human Resources, Labor Relations, and Legal, Data and Student Accounting, and Special Ed. In terms of labor and negotiations, as we know, on the heels of Public Act 349, being signed in by the governor late December, having an effect 91 days after that effect, it has an effect on right to work in our state, as we all are aware. We have been in discussions with our labor partners in terms of looking at creative ways to engage that law as it becomes effective on our school district. So I'm sure in the very near future I'll be bringing more succinct information as we have extended conversations with our bargaining units to determine what, if anything, we can do to, again, find ways to engage that law. In terms of specialized student services, tomorrow's count day. For the second semester, as a reminder, make sure the babies are in school. So we can get a count of them, because obviously our funding is tied to the number of kids that are there on count days. Outside of that, the remainder of my information is contained in the action items and other business. Thank you.
Before you move, Mr. Turner, you have a new staff member.
Well, I was going to do that after action item A, B, but if you would choose, I would do that.
Okay, I'll wait.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, board, and good evening, community. I just have a couple of upcoming events I'd like to highlight. And before I share the first one, I just want to share how much it is a pleasure for me to go into the buildings and to enter a kindergarten classroom. Because kindergartners are so excited about learning, and they're the most natural discovery and curiosity is taking place in that classroom. So it's a wonderful place to be. But however, when a parent comes to our district and comes to bring their kindergartner to school for the first time, that is not the most easiest transition for the parent. So what we're doing this year is we're going to first, we're going to have a kinder crawl. And the kinder crawl is going to be for the parents at Bussey. We have so many of our preschool parents at Bussey who never have an opportunity to really visit the classroom and to visit the school and to find out, where is my child going to be attending, or we hope they will be attending in the fall. So during the month of February and March, Ms. Hill at Bussey will be coordinating a kinder crawl for her parents. During the month of March, and we'll be speaking more about this, there will be a link on the website, we have 5 days of kindergarten roundup at each of our elementary and K-8 buildings, and we want our parents to feel comfortable to come in and to visit the classrooms and to check out the wonderful opportunities that we provide here in Southfield for our students. And in the future, we will have, in April, a kindergarten enrollment fair. Oh my gosh, is it exciting. We had one last year and we're going to do it again this year, and it will be held at Bussey, but it's for the entire district. And we bring out the clowns and the animals, just a wonderful day for the youngsters. And finally, in August, we will have our back to school fair, and again, our kindergartners and their parents will have an opportunity to enroll in Southfield Public Schools and start that wonderful journey of learning and engaging in what we have to offer. The next thing I'd like to share with everyone is our specialized school night, which will be held tomorrow. I have to say, this is one of the most exciting evenings also, when we provide an opportunity for parents in the community to, again, learn about all of our programs. You will have an opportunity to hear about the International Baccalaureate programs, our STEM programs, just everything that we're offering, the AP Prep, the Levy STEM. And so we invite all of our community members to join us at Michigan First. It will begin at 6:30 in the evening, and it is a packed house. So for everyone that is watching television and you're questioning, wow, where am I going to send my middle school student, or where I'm going to take my high school student, or you just want to check out something that you've heard, please join us tomorrow night at Michigan First. That concludes my report.
And now we have a report from the Head Start program from Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. So, as you may recall, last month there was no Head Start report, so I worked very hard to combine and consolidate from 100 slides to just 10.
Thank you.
It's the arrow, right, yeah. So this is the Head Start report for Bussey. This would cover January and February of this year. So in January, it was reported that we are still fully enrolled with 190 students. We have 143 on the waiting list, and there were 29 drops. The Child Adult Care Food Program meal served 1,504 breakfasts, 1,933 lunch, and 1,407 snacks. Approximately 2 weeks went where there were no meals served because school was out. Let's go back to that last one. School out for the holidays in December. Remember, this is from January. This is why consolidating sometimes works. So the federal review visit also occurred, and we're waiting to occur. So we are currently on target for addressing the 4 deficiencies and the 4 non-compliances. We do welcome them to come, and they should be visiting anytime after February 6th. Bussey participated in the annual risk management meeting call on December 18th in 2012, and we had an opportunity to discuss our strengths, challenges, and areas of growth. And finally, Bussey received a letter from the State of Michigan Department of Human Services, Bureau of Child and Adult Licensing. The current license expires on October 30th. However, ours will remain in effect until they approve it and get the ball moving on that, and so they have to act on the application. For Ms. Hill's report for February, likewise, we were at 190 currently enrolled fully, 148 on the waiting list, and 31 dropped. The meals program, you can see 1,621 breakfasts, 2,441 lunch, and 1,609 snacks. And we had a visit from Region 5's Ms. Barbara Christmas, where myself and board president were able to be interviewed by her. She also interviewed policy council members and the parent focus group. So the quality improvement plan and the compliance action plan are all in alignment. All documentation is up to date. We're currently awaiting a date and time for the review to address the deficiencies and the non-compliances. However, Bussey is ready. The self-assessment is also underway currently. The teams will meet on Friday, February 15th at 3 p.m. to finalize and complete any data needed. The community assessment is currently being updated. It should be ready to submit to the region with the refunding package April 1st, 2013. Several classroom teachers are participating in a mentoring coaching session to prepare them for high scope teacher certification. The professionals for high scope working with Ms. Hill, Ms. Karen Rush, will be working with them, and once they have one high scope teacher in each classroom, the building will be high scope certified. As most of you remember from the constant drilling of 85%, we strive for average daily attendance of 85% at Bussey, well, at all Head Start programs. As you know, in some past months it's been less than 80%, so Ms. Hill and her staff came up with incentives, and they seem to be working because in December the rate was above 84.46 and 81.5 for January's attendance. Partnerships are critical with Head Start, and we just wanted to mention the Share a Smile Dental adopted 10 families, I believe. Yeah, 10 families for the holiday. In addition, they donated 10 food baskets and 11 coats. Every family member received something, and Share a Smile runs on donations. Divine Divas donated a toy for each of the Head Start children. Each child's cubby had a gift in it. And Forgotten Harvest, I didn't have a report from the February meeting, so I'll bring something for you all next month. On the next slide, just tons of things go on at Bussey. Ms. Hill keeps that calendar full. These are just a few highlights where we had Bring Dad to School Day was a success. 45 dads and men all participated in that. Also, the Health, Safety, and Advisory Committee meets today at 9 a.m. The Parent Committee on the 13th of February. The times are respectively printed, and that's tomorrow morning. And that meeting is going to be with Chartwell because parents wanted to discuss a few more options for their kids.
Michigan Science Center on the 14th, the Friday morning breakfast with Dad. It's important for me to mention that that's for dads only, not moms, baby moms. It's for dads, and it's a roundtable discussion, and so far 39 dads have RSVP'd to attend, and that's from 9 to 11 on Friday. As I hasten, parent bowling night is on the 22nd, the kindergarten crawl was already discussed, and family engagement interviewing techniques, the date is there, and then the Black History Program, where I wanted to invite all the board members and anyone from the cabinet who's available to come to Bussey on 2/28 from 11 to 2, roughly, and just see the program there. So, you know, Head Start, Ms. Capps can concur with me on this, is very much about curriculum, and so our program is in high scope, and so we get feedback from our high scope preschool curriculum content, which is similar to maybe a Glicky or the core curriculum. So I just included a few areas, 58 preschool KDIs. KDIs stand for Key Development Indicators, thank you. And there's 58 of them, and I listed the 8 content areas there. I won't read those, I won't insult your intelligence. We'll go ahead to the next slide. The important matter of our budget. You see the grant of $1,303,620. Our expenditures in January were 34.5% of the grant. The expenditures in February were 40%, 40.5%. The balance remaining you can see respectively. And here's our opportunity to meet Ms. Angela Rudolph, who is going to briefly mention the budget amendment piece that we have to take action on later this evening. Now, yes.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Angela Rudolph, new to the district and in a new position currently, but I do act as the finance liaison to the Policy Council. As Debbie mentioned earlier, we do our budgets well before June, and we use our best estimates on our staffing, what kind of health packages they're going to take, what the minister's rate is going to be, what kind of supplies we're going to buy, etc. And as we go through the year, we monitor those, and we've come to a point where we do need to do a Head Start budget amendment. We basically had additional funding available that wasn't spent in just a few areas. First was the area of staffing. We had some people that were intermittently out. We had some people that started later in the year, and that gave us a little bit of savings. We had a huge savings in health benefits, health care benefits, and of course our retirement rate, which we budgeted to go up to 27%. That's now down at 24-25%. So that left us $130,000 there that we needed to reallocate. So what we'd like to do, there was one more area, which was busing. We had budgeted for busing for our Head Start children, and we found that there wasn't a need for all of our families. For the majority of our families, they didn't need busing. So that was another $72,000 that we needed to reallocate. What we'd like to do is reinvest those dollars back into the program in the following manner. We would like to do some work on the playground, replacing the tiles on the playground, which I think is a licensing issue, but we'd also like to add a couple of houses. We'd like to add a swing set and really spruce up that area. We also are increasing a lot of our training for our staff, for the parents, and for the Policy Council. We're going to do some national conferences for Head Start, for high scope, and we also will be increasing our supplies. We're going to put in the hands of children in the classroom these little gadgets called nabbies. They're like iPads.
but they're made for little hands. They have bumpers around them so that if you drop them, they won't break. But the good thing is that all of the programming and the games that are on these nabbies do correlate to the Michigan Glitz for preschool. So these kids it will tie right into our program. And, you know, we're investing that money back into the classroom, which is something we really want to do. There's some other areas outside that we want to make some changes to around our trash receptacles. We want to do some repaving and some fencing and kind of spruce up that area that's, you know, kind of fallen down a little bit. And so that's basically how we want to reinvest the money. It was a total of $226,000 that we needed to reallocate, and those are the ways that we would like to spend it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes Busty Head Start report.
If I could just add, Mr. President, our own Ms. Hill has been requested to present at the Michigan Head Start Conference and the National Head Start Conference, and I'm very, very proud of her.
Okay, we're going to move right into the business portion. We do have one item of unfinished business, which is resolution of matters from the prior meetings. Report 51.4 is a recommendation for student discipline from board student hearings that convened on January the 22nd when a quorum of the board was not present. It's very difficult to try to get everybody to commit to board meetings and hearings because we meet so often. So most times school board student hearings we try to have a quorum of 4 so that a decision can be made. But in this case, we only had 3 available, and board members Williams, Robinson, and Lewis have made recommendations for student discipline that are in the board materials for approval. At this time, I ask for a motion to open and approve report 5134. Okay, it's been moved and supported. Ms. Secretary, if you would please call for the vote.
Myself, yes. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Cass? Yes. President Buchanan?
Yes. Okay, thank you. This time we'll take a motion to open and approve the consent agenda.
Move we open the consent agenda?
Are there any questions in regard to the items contained in the consent agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Secretary, would you please call for the vote?
Yes. Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson? Yes. Myself, yes. Vice President, Freudian slip. Trustee Cass? Yes. President Buchanan?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. We'll take a motion to open and approve report 5136, Human Resources Finance Software Resolution.
Support.
Okay. We get some background information.
Yes.
Good evening again. Oakland Schools has entered into a consortium agreement with Tyler Munis Technologies for software. And what they have offered is a consortium countywide so that we can all be on the same finance HR software. And they picked Munis software after extensive shopping around and looking at different softwares, and I myself had a chance to look at it, and it's a very beautiful package. The thing that I really like about it is that it's very user-friendly. And as you know, we already have a very powerful software package that is not user-friendly. so moving forward, I think that it's a very good thing for us to do. The other thing is that Oakland Schools has put up, what was it, $12 million to help the districts out going into the first 10 years of this. What they did is they did a tiered proration for each district so that you get the greater savings in your earlier years, and then they bumped it down. But each district, no matter when you go into the conversion, will get the same amount of money. So what it does for us, if you take the average over the 5 years that they're going to do they're going to help us out with the money, it's going to be about $7.75 per pupil. We're currently paying $8.60 a pupil, and this will be a much nicer, more powerful, much more user-friendly software package. And the fact that the whole county is going to be on the same software also gives you all of those benefits of having people in districts next to you that can step in and help out with things when the state makes changes, like this huge ORS change that they're making right now. We'll all be able to work together instead of each one of us, scrambling around and trying to find our own solution to this problem. So, all in all, everything that we've seen looking at it, it looks like a great idea for us. So we're asking tonight that you approve this entry into the consortium with Oakland Schools.
Is this replacing the ByRank software?
ByTech.
ByTech, okay.
Yes.
And so the agreement with St. Clair now is going to go away?
Right. We'll keep our agreement with ByTech until we actually start into the software conversion, which right now we're scheduled to be in the 3rd tier, but we're asking if we can be moved up. So if they have a slot and can move us up into an earlier spot, then possibly we'll do that. But we're year to year with ByTech, so we can do that.
Okay, so, because I know we have a tremendous investment in ByTech and the training and everything that went into that. So this is a pretty big step for us to go from the previous software to this. So,
right, and one more point. Along with the $12 million that they're going to give us to subsidize the cost, they're also going to subsidize with 6.6, I think, FTE staff at Oakland Schools that's going to be there for software support at no cost to the district.
Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, there were some software adjustments, some applications that were written specifically for us in ByTech. So this new software is going to improve that as well?
Yes, they made sure that everything that we're currently doing and things that we'll be doing in the future are all available with this software. And I went to look at it, and I'm pro ByTech because I was in on the conversion and choosing it and pretty much built it from the bottom up. So it was hard for me to say that, but this is a very nice software package.
You said it, I believe it. Any other questions? Hearing none, Ms. Secretary, would you call for the vote?
Yes. Trustee Katz?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. President Buchanan?
Yes. Okay. I'll take a motion to open and approve report 5137, the best practices resolution. Okay, and I'm going to ask Associate Superintendent Turner to give us some background.
No, that would be nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Turner, I'm trying to take a moment and just introduce someone. We went past the personnel piece so fast.
Okay, then let's do that.
We'll do Mr. Turner.
In terms of best practice, relative to human resources, labor relations, and other stuff, what I wanted to point out to the board, a couple of things before we introduce a couple of staff members who were just approved by the board. We had 2 retirements in our midst of personnel actions, and I wanted to point that out to the board and make reference to the years of service, which total 54 years for the 2 individuals that recently retired. One of them is our very own Mr. Tom Miller. He actually officially communicated his retirement to me, and reluctantly I accepted it. However, after 40 years, I figured I pretty much can't stop him, or his wife will probably come and see me. So he has communicated that it will be effective this June. Another teacher for us, Ms. Yolanda Castro, communicated her resignation. Actually, she came back from layoff to retire in February, so she has departed her service with the district as well. And moving forward, I'd like to introduce 2 individuals. We'll introduce one and reacquaint the board with another. And I'll begin with Ms. Rudolph. She serves us currently in a permanent position as a project assistant in grants. And she has recently been asked to answer the call that has been created by Mrs. Barker's resignation, which was also in this personnel action as well. Ms. Barker moved on to other things in her future. Ms. Rudolph is going to serve us and she comes to us with over 20 years of experience in budget and finance, 10 years specifically in direct school budget and finance, with experience as a director and a business manager. If it pleases the board, I'd like to ask her to say a few words of introduction and gratitude in her new position with the board.
Thank you. I am honored that I was offered this position. I've been with the district since November, starting in grants and working with primarily the grant managers. Now I've moved into this new interim director of accounting, and I look forward to working with now the entire district. I spent a lot of time at Bussey, and just recently I got the opportunity to go and spend some time at Southfield when they had their open house. I have to say I was very impressed with the facilities, their media center. There were a lot of teachers there that I met that were very enthusiastic about what they were doing. I explained to them, I'm not a parent, but I do have family members that are in the district, but they were very enthusiastic about Southfield Lathrop, about their International Baccalaureate program, and I really enjoy doing that. I look forward to going out to some of the other schools, because when things come across your desk, when you look at invoices, when you look at conference requests and things like that, it's nice to be able to say, I know that teacher, I know that program, I've seen, that in action, and so that's my plan. I want to continue to strengthen the wonderful team that we have downstairs in the accounting department. They work very hard to do a lot of things behind the scenes to keep everything going, keeping everything smooth, so that there's no bumps in the road, keeping everybody paid, etc. So I am looking forward to this, and thank you for the opportunity.
Keeping us paid is a good thing. I want to introduce Mr. Dan Bully, and it's Dan, not Daniel, Dan Bully. Comes to us from most recently private practice, and prior to that 16 years in servitude in one of our sister districts, both as in the general counsel's office and as a director. And Mr. Bully Wood, as you step to the mic, sir. Sure.
Good evening, Honorable Board, Dr. Cook Robinson, Cabinet, parents and community. My name is Dan Bully. I want to take this time to just say thank you and to extend my gratitude for the opportunity to begin work as a director of labor and legal affairs for the Southfield Public School District. I'm excited and I look forward to the opportunity to engage in work and really to work with this honorable body. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I wanted to at least extend my gratitude and my thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, to get back on track, there was a motion that was moved and supported, and we were going to get some background information from on best practice from Ms. Travis.
Okay, this is the best practices incentive that I spoke about a little bit earlier in the budget amendment, where the governor had taken our money and now he's given it to us with criteria that we have to match. And the money that we have to match more criteria every year, but we get less money for it. So that, put that aside. But so we're asking your authorization to enter into the Section 22F of the state aid. We're going to get $52 per pupil in a one-time grant for satisfying 7 of 8 best practices this year, which we have, and I can name them for you quickly. We are the designated policyholder for medical benefits. We have obtained competitive bids on non-instructional services. The district accepts applications for enrollment by non-resident applications under Section 105. The district does monitor academic growth, and I think that has to do with the new MAP testing that we're doing. The district supports opportunities for pupils to receive post-secondary credit while attending secondary school, so dual enrollment. The district offers online instructional programs or blended learning opportunities to all eligible pupils. And the district does provide a link on the district homepage to the URL for the My School Data portal, which has all the required dashboard indicators that the state requires for us to have. So we did hit all 7 of, well, there were 8, but the other one, I don't know of any other district in the state that has yet hit that one. So it's pretty much out of there. So we will be getting the $52 per pupil, and that will amount to about $386,000 revenue for us this year.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, the Secretary, will you please call for the vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Katz? Yes. President Buchanan?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay. I'll take a motion to open and approve Report 5138, the Appropriations Act, second reading.
I move we open Report 5138.
It's been moved and supported. You actually have to read it this time?
No.
You want to read it? You're right. Okay. Initially, the first reading of this took place during a study session, which was last week, February 4th. And so we have to have the 2 readings in order for this to be entered as a motion for us. And this is the actual second reading. Rather than bore you to death, it's in the agenda. So again, it's one of those sleep aids that if you just need, you can read it on your own.
Very important because
yes.
I'm offended. You should read it. It's good stuff.
Well, don't get your feet. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, Ms. Secretary, will you call for the vote?
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Katz? Yes. Trustee Poole?
Yes.
President Buchanan?
Yes. Thank you. Take a motion to open and approve Report 5139, the Guardian Security Contract Extension.
Support.
To move and supported. Discussion.
Guardian Security, we have been contracting with them since July 1st of 2010, and we have been very happy with the service. They have sent us very qualified employees. As you heard with our security update, they do a very good job. They're very responsive to any requests that we have for them, and they've been a great partner. We went to them last year, and we asked them, because in our original contract with them, there were rate increases year to year, and we just called them in, and with the same level of service, we asked them if they would please hold at their current rate at the 11-12 rate. They agreed to that at that time. I went back to them again this year, and they've agreed to go out another year with possibility of 2 additional year renewals after that, but at the same rate again. So this would be for the 13-14 year, and they've held steady for now 2 years at the same rate.
Any questions?
More so, just a quick comment that I appreciate us working with a Southfield-based company, a Michigan-based company, and a company in my neighborhood. And so, just thanks.
Is there no further comments or questions? Will you please call for the vote, Ms. Secretary?
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Katz? Yes. Myself, yes. Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
President Buchanan?
Yes. At this time, we take a motion to open and approve Report 5140, the resolution in support of open enrollment, Section 105 of the choice.
Support.
Moved and supported.
Good evening. This resolution is in support of open enrollment. As you know, we are 105 in regards to our choice options for students who are in Oakland County and wish to come to Southfield as a educational opportunity for themselves. This actual resolution is for the first semester of 2013-2014. So it allows us to be in compliance early enough that the superintendent does not come and visit me. So, thank you.
And interestingly, these 5139 and 5140 are the 2 items that reflect back to 5137, which allowed us to obtain this additional money from the state.
True.
Okay. Are there any questions? Hearing none, Ms. Secretary, will call for the vote.
Myself, yes. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Katz? Yes. Vice President Ken?
Yes. Thank you. This time I'll take a motion to open and approve report 5141, the Justin Center lease agreement.
So moved.
Moved and supported.
As you know, back in 2009, we had to close the Eisenhower building, and as it behooves us to keep people in these buildings as much as possible, we try to get some lease agreements so that we have, people in there. It's a safety thing. It's good for us to have people alive and well as working around the building so they see what's going on. We've had a very good lease agreement with Judson Center for all these years. They have an autistic program there. They've been great lessees. They're very responsible with the building. What do they pay us? It's $17,100, which adds to, we've been bringing in a little bit of money with our lease agreement, so any little bit helps. And just to have a presence in the school also. So we're asking that you renew this again for the summer. I think they'll be starting in June of the summer again. And they're in for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks every summer.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, the Secretary call for the vote.
Trustee Katz? Yes. Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson? Yes. Myself, yes. President Ken?
Yes. Thank you. It's time to take a motion to open and approve report 5142, the new advertising and commercial activities policy, the second reading.
So moved.
Okay. This is a change in board policy, and it's the second reading, so before we can enact this as a new policy, it is required that we have this. Now, what we're doing here is changing our policy to allow advertising within our sports venues. Currently, when we visit other schools, other communities, you see where local businesses have signs that are put up in the gymnasiums and around the football field, advertising for, those that support the district. Well, for years, Southfield has had a policy that was against that type of advertising taking place. But due to the changes in school funding and the need for us to look at ways to help gain support from the community for our athletic programs, extracurricular activities, this board has decided that it was time for us to change our policy and start looking at ways to bring in members of the community to help in terms of adding additional monies. Now, we're not accepting any, and you can see in the reading, but I just want to make this clear to the community that we're not supporting any kind of fast food items or anything that would be deleterious to our children or their health or safety. So our policy is merely to allow the local community to help in supporting our athletic endeavors. Thank you. Are there any further comments from the board? All right, hearing none. Secretary, would you call for the vote, please?
Myself, yes. Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Katz? Yes. President Ken?
Yes. All right, thank you. We now come to informational items that don't require board action. There's a purchasing report, report 5143, that's included in the agenda. These are items that do not meet the threshold dollar-wise that requires the board to act, and they are included in the report. So again, add this to your bedtime reading, and move on to that. We also have report 5144, which is our armored transportation service, and the superintendent had information on that.
As our cost savings goes on, we look at every contract. So when we went out to bid this again, Martha Ritchie, our purchasing agent, went to each of the school buildings and talked to the principals, and we decided that we could actually cut down the pickups at each building for a savings of over $10,000 a year. So you'll see that in the cost. The total armor, our contract will be for $10,200
entities, we do have lot space in each one of the offices at the building, so any money that they have in between those pickups will be locked up.
Okay. All right, we now come to the public participation portion of the meeting. Anyone that wishes to speak, if you would please fill out a green card. Seeing none, that's a good thing. We'll just pass on that. We get to board matters, where the board has the ability to share information with the community. And Mr. Poole.
Not.
Okay. Mr. Lewis.
To the city of Southfield, Lathrop, and Southfield Township, I would like to say good evening. I would like to begin by congratulating Deborah Trump, David Turner, Linda Wood, and also our superintendent for the job that they're doing in Southfield Public Schools. Also would like to report to the community that approximately 2 weeks ago, I was working on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. While I was there, I had an opportunity to meet Carl Levin, Gary Peters, and Debbie Stabenow. And I actually sat in Carl Levin and Gary Peters' office. And one of the main issues that I lobbied against was the 5.2% cut on the federal level to public education. And I also advocated for school safety. And in advocating for school safety, I encouraged the congressional leaders that I spoke with to uphold and protect our Second Amendment to bear arms, while at the same time making necessary regulations so situations like Sandy Hook will not occur. So I want you to know that not only me, but also Darrell Buchanan and Michael Poole participated in that event. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Lewis. Mr. Katz?
Yes, I would like to comment that Ms. Smith and I attended a meeting this morning, and I'm going to let her talk about it, the National Honor Society. I would like to speak to you instead about what Ms. Vicki Markovich, the superintendent of the Oakland Public Schools, has to say about public education. She makes a comment every month online, and I think most of my colleagues have seen it. But I want to be sure that the public is aware. She spoke this week about you got to forgive me. She spoke this week about the amount that's put into public education for special education primarily. And she spoke about how the amount that we have available is being watered down because the school districts are providing, like Southfield, they're providing education in every field that the children are showing interest in, including our university high school where they attend college. And our 4 academies and all of our activities cost money. And when the funds get cut and we get pushed to the wall, we have so far found money thanks to the hard work of our superintendent and Miss Debbie Trim. But we are continually being driven to the wall. And when it happens, sooner or later, we're going to have to cut programs for children. And our situation has become so dire, I think I told you last month, that our superintendent, administration, and principals have given up 6% of their salaries, which pains me a great deal, because I think we should be giving them more, not less, because of the wonderful job they're doing. And so if you would like to see this program that Ms. Markovich has put out, I'd be happy to give it to you and print out another one for myself. But I want you to be aware that if things are not getting better, although we have a fund balance, due to the hard work of Ms. Trump. And we are working with it. Nevertheless, we are working with less funds. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Trustee Robinson. Trustee Smith.
Thank you. I was going to show pictures from NHS, but I didn't get them in time, so I'll have it for next month. But we do want to commend all of our new inductees to NHS at Southfield High School that were inducted today, and just the standard of excellence that we expect as far as academics go. I just want to mention that this board, through the last 30 days, the last time you all saw us, has attended Lions Club events, Founders Day for PTA, the National Honor Society program. We went to Kalamazoo in dire condition to support our superintendent, and also spent the majority of a fun-filled Saturday and a Thursday night at a strategic plan talking about all things education. So this board does really work hard for the taxpayers in the district. A quick little shout out to Black History Month. I don't have a report or anything, but we all know the reason why it's important, and let's not ever forget it. But the last thing I wanted to say, in your folder, your blue folder, board members, I just gave you the two handouts that I was able to receive from my trip to Lansing last Wednesday. The smaller one that says Public Education 101 was provided by the Michigan Department of Education as a literal 101 on education, but it was really like a 101A because it's, public education is so convoluted. So in your spare time, it's very small print, and she did say that if we needed bigger print, we could get that. And then the other thing I thought was really important was the House Fiscal Agency also provided a background briefing on school aid. And just as a FYI for the community, the majority of that standing committee on education is full of new legislators. They don't technically even really know how schools get funded. So we can either look at this as an opportunity or we can look at this as a threat, whatever you want to do. But definitely continue to make phone calls. And if you're involved in any any organization, nonprofit organizations outside of Southfield who maybe have relationships with other counties and other cities whose legislators aren't maybe as like-minded as you and I, tell your friends and family members in those communities to be on the phone expressing what they feel is important, which is properly putting the money in the school aid in this big pie, making sure that things get where they're supposed to go, which is to our most vulnerable, our pre-K through 12. So, in your spare time, more sleepy reading, take a look at that. Good reading.
Thank you. As has been mentioned previously, that the board was invited to the Lathrop Village Lions Club 9th Annual Pancake Breakfast this past Saturday, and Trustees Smith, Robinson, and myself attended, and the wonderful event that was held was to benefit the Penricton Center for Blind Children. During the event, many children received free vision screenings. Trustee Smith won $100 at the event in a 50-50 raffle, okay? And then she generously returned the money as a donation toward the proceeds that support disabled children. That was outstanding. It was also mentioned about the strategic planning meeting that took place last weekend. That is probably one of the most important initiatives that this board undertakes, in that as we set the course for our district, this is our marching orders. I mean, this is what we live by. This is what the superintendent lives by. Because once we put the strategic plan together, this is actually what she is judged on at the end of the year. This is how we evaluate her performance, and it's based on the strategic plan. So it's great to see the process, how it all takes place, because it's not just the board, it's not just administration, it's the entire community, and all stakeholders are involved in developing the strategic plan. We still have not completed that process, so if you still would like to get involved, you're still going to have an opportunity to get involved in the strategic plan. And I think that it would be worthwhile for members of the community to see that. As Trustee Lewis mentioned, we had the opportunity to attend the Federal Relations Network conference, which takes place in Washington, D.C. I went as the Government Relations Chair for the Michigan Association of School Boards. So it wasn't on the district's dime, it was on the state association's dime, just so everybody knows. But this is an important event in that we get a chance to interface with our congressional leaders. The issues that we face, are many, but the main ones that we wanted to talk to them about was the reissuing of the ESEA, better known as No Child Left Behind. That's actually going to be changed in a lot of its formats, even though the superintendent doesn't agree with all of them. It's still a better plan than its current iteration. So hopefully our legislators will get it together and make sure that this legislation is passed. It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years since it's been reissued, so it's well overdue. The other thing, and Trustee Lewis hit on that too, was the sequestration, which is about to take place, and how that's going to impact education as well as other aspects of our overall economic life. We've been making tremendous cuts since I've been on the board. Close to $100 million now we've cut out of our budget. Okay, taking that kind of money out of your operating budget and still being able to produce the way we do is nothing short of a miracle. But in doing that, we've now, you can cut out all the fat, but now we're starting to cut into bone and muscle. And we won't be able to survive if they just continue to put cut upon cut upon cut. We're going to talk about education. We need to make education a priority in this country. Every year when I go to FRN, we always end the Oakland County group. We always end the session by touring one of the embassies. Last year was Finland, which was a very eye-opening experience. This year we went to the British Embassy, and Trustee Lewis and I had a chance to sit with their education specialist, and she really just kind of pays attention to, how we're doing things in America, and then she relates that back to, changes that they may want to look at in Great Britain. But looking at how they do things in Great Britain gives you pause. They actually put their money where their mouth is. Whereas here, there's a lot of talk about education being a priority, but it's constantly being cut. There, it's a national initiative, so it's driven from the top down, okay? So they don't really have states, they have counties, and each county is basically funded and given the same priority. They have two types of schools there. They have state schools, which is the majority, and they have private schools. But we have a similar makeup in terms of, our student populations, and I found that interesting. They have 24% are ethnic minorities. 16.7% of their students are on free school meals. Here, that's free and reduced lunches. Interesting, though, here in Southfield, and you may have seen that report that came out, I think, just last week, that 60% of our students here in Southfield are now on free and reduced lunches. That's a big difference there. And I'll get back to how that impacts us. There they have overall about 2.8 special needs students. Southfield, we have about 41% of our students are special ed students. That's a huge difference in the amount of,
14%.
I'm sorry.
14% of our total population.
Oh. See, and I need to be in that group too because of my.
Reverse the numbers.
You can add me to the group. Sorry about that. But I bring that up because when you think about, the cost that we incur when we talk about educating special needs students, it's a tremendous difference between the $8,000 that we spend that we get from the state per student, as opposed to the $60,000 that we spend to educate special ed students, and that's our average cost. of educating special ed students. They developed a national curriculum, which we don't have here, it's state by state. So every child isn't given the same background, the same foundation. So they're not all able to compete at the same level. But there, where it's on a national standard, then everybody understands right up front, and it's measured exactly where each student should be by age, by grade, as they move through the process. One of the things that I found very interesting, which I know will never pass here, but every student upon entry into their school system is given a personal identification number, and that number follows them throughout their entire career. Now, what we face here is that students come to us with a lot of different issues that aren't properly recorded, so we don't know who these students are when they come to our front door. With that identification number, it would tag that student and say exactly, this is where the student has been, this is what the student's abilities and disabilities are, and exactly where they stand. So it gives a better way to track student performance just all the way through. It's something to think about. I bring that up because, of course, just recently the MEEP scores came out. Now, there's a lot of things that go into calculating what the MEEP scores, and they mean a lot of different things. But it is the worst measurement of student performance ever devised. And I say that because you couldn't give that test at a worse time. While we're still on an agrarian schedule in terms of how we educate our children when they're off for 3 months, as if they're going to work in the field, okay, which they don't. It's just 3 months off. They come back to us after basically no educational activity for 3 months, and now we're giving them a test. We're giving them a test based on the previous year's work, not on what they're doing currently, but the previous year. So how do you really measure where that child stands when that score is a reflection of what they did last year, where they had 3 months off, and then we're supposed to test them on that same information? It was mentioned earlier that this year we just had, a boom of 280 some odd students just come to the district. That's good in terms of, finance, but it's bad because we don't know where these children stand. These children are absolute strangers to us in terms of where they are academically. So while we're giving them the test, which we must do by law, we have no idea what these children's abilities, disabilities, exactly where they are. A parent can come in and tell you that my child is in the 5th grade, but that child is reading at a 2nd or 3rd grade level, and then we still have to test them, and then that's added into our scores. These are the things that people don't think about. Now, if you really want to know how we perform on the MEEP, then let's look at disaggregating our numbers, where you look at the students who have been here all along that track at a totally different level than students that come to us at different stages of their academic career. They're coming in, and understand, it's an honor. We're that lighthouse in the district. I mean, out here in the dark. We're the lighthouse in the dark that people are coming to Southfield, and they're coming in big numbers. So it's almost like we're being punished for our own success. Because while we're bringing these students in, we don't know who they are, we don't know where they stand academically, but then we're held responsible for their shortcomings where there are some. Not to say that they are. Some students, sure, they're going to be above the curve. But that's not really the experience that we have here in Southfield. Because students that come here don't come early enough for us to make a difference in their overall academic achievement. But they still come because they know what we do here. And when they're coming, we also have an influx of special needs students that are coming here as well. And they affect our overall numbers. So before the phone starts ringing about our terrible MEEP scores, you need to understand exactly what that is, what that means, and understand that it's not an accurate measure of anybody's academic performance. How would you like it if somebody came to you one day and just said, okay, today we're going to measure, everything that you do, your entire job performance is based on what you do right now today. I mean, that's not a fair assessment. I don't think anybody here would agree to that. And that's what's taking place. Now, we've devised a better method of doing, really how to measure progress, which is really the true measurement of education is progress. Not where they are right now, but meeting them where they are and getting them to where they need to be. And that's what takes place here in Southfield Public Schools. We meet every child where they are, and we move them along to where they need to be. We now have a map assessment that gives us a better picture of exactly where these students are. And that's a true measure of understanding how to educate children. This board, this superintendent, this administration isn't recognized for just sitting back and twiddling our thumbs. We don't, what do I say to you all the time? We do not what? We don't
complain, we don't whine.
We don't complain.
We build the team we have.
And that's all you can do, because we are the public school system. We will not complain, we will deliver. And that's what we do here in Southfield Public Schools. Okay, I'm off of my soapbox. Future meetings, that's all. These are all old. Our next board meeting is March 12th? Oh, it has to be, because it's 28 days. See? That's fine. Yeah. March 12th is our next regular school board meeting. February 17th through the 22nd is our midwinter recess. All schools and buildings will be closed. February 26th at 6 o'clock, we'll have student hearings. I will take a motion to adjourn. Meeting of the Southfield Board of Education is now adjourned. Thank you all for coming.